Hi everyone, this is Christina. I'm going live again. Can all of you hear me? Because last time I had some issue with my audio, and they were hearing a lot of noises in the background. And hopefully this time it's okay, right? Hopefully, right? I don't know. I was surprised that I have people like listening to my live stuff, right? So that's like really surprising. Well, hello everybody. Thanks for joining. I think I'll get started in 2 minutes because I said we're starting at 2:30 Eastern time. So you know what? I have a question for you guys. Like, what do you guys want to listen to? Like, is there anything that you guys were interested about, or anything you wanted to know about Camel or things I'm working on? Because obviously this is a live streaming content, so I don't have like an obvious topics. I would just go over the things I do. I do have a little very special demo that I want to do like really right now because I kind of thought of it last night. Yeah, I'll talk about it later when we get there. But yeah, so. Hi, just waiting for it to be like 2:30, so we'll get started. Yeah, so and hopefully this time it gets better. So and I think same as the other times, we'll be doing a lot of Camel K stuff, and I think I want to go over one of the things I want to blog about, and I want to hear your comments, and like let me know what do you think about it and all that. So yeah, so okay, I think it's about time. I think we're couple seconds to 2:30. So let's get started. So I was thinking last night, I was doing a demo for, I was doing all this video, and with those videos, it's really hard because there's a lot of cutscenes, and I had to put a lot of like layovers on top. So you have a lot of like really pretty shiny effects, and I fast forward a lot of stuff. So I try to cram in a lot of things within 10 minutes. So that's like the style of my videos. And because of that, there's a lot of things I don't get to talk about. And while I was doing those videos last night, I was doing the Jaeger tracing. I wanted to do open tracing for Camel, obviously. So, and I had it in my GitHub already. I was like, I'm gonna make a video. Quarkus. So what is Quarkus good for, right? Because they talk about like supersonic, super fast boot up time for Quarkus. And I thought, let's make it interesting by having a contest between a Java application and then as well as like Quarkus, and see which one's faster. So I kind of changed my demos a little bit. So it would one of them they would run exactly the same application. So they will be running exactly the same thing, which is writing to a database, and see which one comes up faster. So that was like the game. So I was like, yeah, let's do it, right? So I spent this morning and trying to do like a demo. So I'll show you what I did, right? So let me change the theme here. So hopefully you can see my desktop, right? So hopefully you can see my desktop. But the basic idea for this particular demo is I have an order. So there's an order. Hold on, let me put it here. So there's an order application which is running Camel K, and it's actually exposing a RESTful services, right? So it's actually exposing a RESTful services, and then it's trying to call two application, right? So the main idea for that demo, for my Jaeger demo, is to do like a tracing and see which if one fails, will you see the errors and all that kind of stuff. So that was like it, right? But I was thinking that if I make one of them if I make one of them Quarkus, right? And they all like so if they're all like inventory, right? So if they're all inventory, they're all writing to the same database. And this one is just pure Java. Which one would go faster, right? Wouldn't it be cool to see? Because like we always talk about, if in a serverless world, you want to have a faster boot up time. So, well, Quarkus enhance your experience with Knative or like serverless application, right? So I'm running Knative right now because it's obviously what Red Hat is like doing for the service world. So obviously I'll be using Knative. So all three of these services would be like obviously they would be like running on Knative, right? So I'll show you my setting. Like it's really fun. Like I had fun with this thing because I really wanted to prove that it works. So oops, not this one. This is one of the thing I was working on. So yeah, so that's the result. Okay. So what I currently have is I created like, so I spin up Jaeger, right? So Jaeger is this open tracing software where you can send your tracing informations into the server. It's going to collect a bunch of it and then it's going to display it, right? So that's like it's showing you, and depending on the headers that you provide, what you give into Jaeger, it's going to map everything together. So you can see like what's the flow of your calls, right? That's what Jaeger's for. And so basically I have two applications, right? So this application is running Quarkus and this one is running inventory. And then I have orders in front. So if my request goes in here, it should call like the Quarkus and it should call the JVM, right? So if you're curious, this is what the code looks like, right? So this one is running like JVM, of course. So this is like exactly the same. So I spin up the application. It's getting informations from an order. It's actually getting order informations, and then it's writing to a database. And then I'll show you how to install everything later. But I just want to like show you how it runs. And then this one is Quarkus. So like this one is, so if you take a look, the code is exactly the same, like, right? So with CamelK, the only difference that you do in terms of running to run it either on Quarkus or on the Java is to specify something called a trait. So if you define a trait to say let's run that thing in Quarkus, it's going to spin up and run Quarkus. Right, because if you take a look what's in Camel, like, right, so if you take a look at operator, right, where's the operator? Right here. So if you take a look at the Camel operator, if you look down into the build, you'll see two things, right? One is main, which is running the Java, which is grabbing all the Java application and dependencies that you need to run a Java application. You use Quarkus as it's grabbing all the dependencies for Quarkus, so you're actually running it as part of the Quarkus runtime, right? So that's the only difference. Let me see if I have any questions. Like, you guys have any questions? Oh, hi, Alan. So like, welcome to my little project. So I'm just like trying to see, like doing that stupid project, but I wanted to like do that quickly. So anyway, so that's like the application. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it, like go ahead and run it. So basically I'm just gonna go ahead and so this is Jaeger, right? This is my Jaeger application, and then it's actually, I placed a couple of orders before, but now don't worry about it. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it again. So as you can see, so going back to the topology, now everything is now shut down, right? So if I go ahead and call my application, whoops, let me just show it. So if I go ahead and call my application, all of them would spin up, right? So let me just go ahead and call that. See that this order will start running, and then I think it's going to, so the order is going to wake up the two applications. So you see that Quarkus responded really fast, and then the JVM starts, right? So I mean, you can totally see here that the JVM starts later, and then you're going to see it comes back up and it's going to return me with my application respawn and all that, right? So yeah, so that's that. I don't have the errors, right? So that's okay. So, and then I can go ahead and then find my trace. So obviously this is the one that I just called, right? Hopefully it is 37. Yeah, that was it, right? So, and if you take a look at the span of the thing, so you can see that actually Quarkus is a lot faster when it comes to a serverless application. Well, I was trying to like see which one goes faster, and that actually really surprised me. Although this is not a big difference because I'm not running like a crazy, heavy application where you have to load a bunch of libraries. I did try to add some libraries like the Postgres and all that to make it a little bit complicated, but it's not like crazy. So you can see that this one actually takes a lot quicker, so you can see that it's actually feeding back to the Jaeger server a lot faster. So you can see that there's like a 1 millisecond difference between those two. So if that matters to you in the serverless world, which I think it does, it's gonna be like a killer, right? So now I have like a lot more confidence when I talk about, if you want to do serverless, go with Quarkus, because this gives you like living proof of how things should work, right? Yeah, so that's like my little experiment today. Like I wanted to really, really see how everything works and see if that's really true, right? I did like struggle a little bit this morning because for some reason Quarkus just wouldn't start up right. Well, the reason why is because I was doing the dev mode, and in dev mode, Quarkus doesn't seem to be that stable because it's constantly waiting for things to be reloaded. So I guess that's why. But yeah, but like if you compile and deploy everything onto if you do it with like without the dev mode, and everything just works smoothly. I think that was the catch. Yeah, so like for people that doesn't know how I run that application, so I have everything written down. So I'm a very kind person, so I write everything down in my README file, right? So basically, and hopefully I'm actually opening up the right README file right now. Am I? Nope, I am not. Okay, so this is the I haven't. So the thing about like live streaming stuff is like you guys are getting the first-hand stuff, so I haven't uploaded to my GitHub repository yet, but I'll put it there once I finish writing the README file. But so basically it's very similar to the one I did for Jaeger, but this time I just created like 3 different. So instead of running, I have like 2 applications running. Maybe I should just use the same one, but I don't know. Like, and then the only difference is that with Quarkus, I have this trait Quarkus enable. So it means that use Quarkus your runtime, and that's basically about it. There's a little catch here because for Quarkus, it automatically searches and loaded the Jaeger properties, right? So in Quarkus, I can define everything using a property file where you can actually define the sampler type, or where your Jaeger is and all that. What's the name of your services? How you want to show that in Jaeger? But in the JVM mode, I don't think it does. So you have to actually write yourself a customizer. So basically, it just inject, just find that it's just similar to how we write bins and then inject it into camel context. So I just did that with adding the Jaeger endpoints. So the Jaeger endpoints was actually given in my property. So I'm not actually like, doing everything like separately, but I just need to have that thing configured. And so that's kind of it for, like special thing you have to do for the Java application. So that's like a little difference, subtle difference between like 2 different runtimes. I guess hoping that, in the future they will make it more or less the same. So I mean the user experience or the developer experience would be more or less the same, but currently because it's still early in the project, I guess, so it's not like exactly the same. But I'm very like, I like, as you know, I like this technology very much. I think it kind of simplifies a lot of things for you. So yeah, so I don't think there's a lot of problems. But anyway, so that's how I did it. Let me see if there's any questions. Well, okay, no, that's good. At least I know there's no more questions. But yeah, cool. So, if you have any questions or you have anything you want to ask me, because I'm live right now, just like drop down in the chat box and I would happy to answer them if I know. If I don't know, I'll come back to it. Maybe I'll just answer them down beneath, like in the reply. So, so you guys can see that later. But anyway, so that's my little project. So, so that you know. Oh, and the other thing, hold on, let's just do one thing at a time. So the way I did it is very simple, right? So now you can see that it goes back down to 0 because it's serverless, so everything's go back down to 0 when nobody's using it, right? So it's typical serverless stuff, right? All right, so the way I do it is, the way that you can run this is pretty simple. I have written everything down into my README, but I'm just gonna create it so you can actually. So this is my OpenShift environment. Oops, I already have contest. Contests. Just add an S to it, and then what you need to do is you need to actually make sure you have the operators installed, right? So make sure you have the camel operator, of course. I'm using the custom one right now because RC2 is the version that they have right now. It doesn't really work. It doesn't really work. It works, but like some of the things I need Jaeger, right? So because I need like my tracing stuff to get collected, right? So I need to install the Jaeger operator. so for people that doesn't have it, like, so community, if you have Kubernetes, just make sure you have that Jaeger installed in your namespace, right? So, or your environment, your cluster, right? So once you have it running, what you can do is, and then I also need maybe like a database. So I'm using Postgres, right? So Postgres create, and then I'll use user and then password. So that's how I create my database. Like pretty simple, right? But if you don't want to, you can actually have I have everything in the script. So in my README file, there it is. So this is like a way you can install it in like a command line mode. I know a lot of you doesn't want to leave to the console, so that's how you can create that on the online mode. So on the command line mode. So once it's created, what you need to do is you can, first of all, see if your pod is up, right? So, okay, so we need to wait for the application to install. Oh, the other thing, other than the Jaeger and the Camel K, you actually need two things. The serverless, right? Of course. You don't need eventing. I had eventing because I was doing the other demo for eventing. Of course, I was demonstrating channels and all that. That was my previous video. If you haven't checked, please go and check it out. But yeah, so you need serverless, right? So I was installing the Red Hat serverless, but you can always install the Knative serving. They're the same, right? So that's that. And once it's up, so let's wait for it to like. So that's a problem. Like with my video, I can just cut it, but now I don't have that thing. I don't have to wait for it to get up. So yeah, so cool. So let's wait for it to get up. But yeah, so then I have to set up my schema, of course. What is my schema? I don't have it here. I have it in my Jaeger stuff. I need to just remind me. I need to move this schema thingy to this project, so you guys have it too, right? So this is my schema, basically, like that. I had it like in my script to install it, but then I removed it because I want to make sure that I'm not making the thread stop when one is deleting the table and recreating it while it is there. So I just want to make it fair for both application and then both writing to the same database. So that's why I removed the create part in my application. But anyway, so if this is up already, I can like go ahead to the terminal and then create my databases, right? So vSQL, and then where's my table schema thingy? So just go in there. I can always SSH in there, but I'm lazy. Okay, but anyway, I'm done. So select from premium. Don't ask me what premium is. I forgot already, but it's just a table that I insert for fun. Anyway, so yeah, and now it's there. I'm just waiting for the very slow installation for my operators. So it's actually like pulling things down and then installing it to get it ready. So yay, my okay, so it looks like my Jaeger operator is running. So I can go ahead and go back to my installation instructions, and there's a couple of ways you can stand up your Jaeger. You can actually go ahead and create it. So I have like a Jaeger tracing thing where you can like just stand up a Jaeger instance. So you can either execute that in your command line, or you can just go ahead and here and then just create a Jaeger. It's basically the same. Just create a Jaeger instance, and then the operator is gonna pick it up and then start creating everything, right? So now my camel case is running, right? So now I can start creating my application. So and like starting up the application is pretty easy, right? So what you need to do, of course, I have everything like in here. So I need to start up the Quarkus first, or it doesn't matter at the time. Like you can just start at any time. I'll start the Quarkus in the yellow part. So I know it's Quarkus. Create it. And I have the Java application, which is that one. I have like this exactly the same application, but running the Java. Oh, okay. I forgot something. I need to OC into the project, right? OC project contest. There you go. That's why it's updating, not creating. Okay. Create it, yes. And then I need to create that. Awesome. Now it's created. So if you go ahead and go and see the application it's going to go ahead and then like if you take a look at the operators, you can see now it's like building, right? So it's building its stuff, and once it's finished build, it's going to start up my content, right? And then I need to start the order, right? The order is pretty easy. Then did I show you the order application? No, I haven't, right? So the order contest is here, right? So this is like very simple stuff, right? I'm just receiving a RESTful application, and then I'm sending them multicast parallel at the same time. So no one's first, just sending them in the same time, and then I get to see which result it comes back to, right? So very simple, very stupid, but it's effective, right? I was thinking that maybe I can change that to Knative like endpoints, but then I think it's not fair because I wanted to test like it natively, right? So I got rid of the idea first, and then I switched that to like eventing, so they're all listening from one channel. But then I realized, oh shoot, because it's not like HTTP header, so Jaeger cannot trace, right? It doesn't trace like non-HTTP header stuff, right? So too bad. So I have to do HTTP stuff. Anyway, so that's that, and I'm gonna start this application. Basically, that's what it does. So starting up this application, order contest, and then getting the open tracing thing configured as well, and then loading the libraries, JSON, and then I need Undertale because I need to start it up and all that. So yeah, just starting everything. Now my order is created, so you can see that now my order is like running, and Quarkus is already built and it's like running already. So if you go to the topology view, which I like because it's a lot of view, it's not clear because you can see everything's like in this view. So you can see now everything's running, and then you can go ahead and start, pushing your code in there. So basically that's how I installed everything. Well, okay, so I guess it's like that's how my application kind of works. So now I have like 10 more minutes left. Like, do you guys mind like if I go over some of the stuff that I want to do in the future, at least for my blog? Well, I was inspired by like somebody asked me questions in my Twitter account because he was asking like, what's the difference between so let me switch back to mode. So he was asking question about what's the difference between Kafka, Kubernetes, and Knative and CamelK, right? And then I think it was Kamash, right? He did like a really awesome demo video and explanation on DevNation, right? He went through a lot of like the concepts and demos and all that, and I think it's good. But I like to explain it my way, right? It's me, so I like to explain it my way with drawings, of course. So that's why I wanted to do like a little blogs on how I kind of understands everything and how everything works together. I'm gonna quickly show you how I interpret it, and that you guys let me know if I'm on the right track or if you think you think something else, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and show my iPad stuff, right? So hold on, let me see if I can share my screen again. Okay. Can you guys see? Cool, yeah. Right. So basically, what you're seeing here is a view of how I see, all of them running together, right? So at the bottom here, I'm going to show you with like this little cool trick, which I might make it into a video, but I'm not sure. But yeah, so basically you can just turn everything off, like turn this off, turn this off, turn this off, turn this off. Basically I just draw a bunch of layers. So just see to it. You guys cannot see anything, right? So basically, I wanted to start off like a puzzle, right? Because everything I see in Kubernetes world is you kind of just putting things together and trying to make it work. And one of them requires on the other part of the story, right? So that's how I see them together. So I'm saying that the OpenShift stuff is a basic foundations of how everything you need OpenShift like as the foundation, because Kubernetes does a lot of like service lookup and service registries and like all that. It orchestrates all those container stuff, right? So that's that. And then you have like the service mesh or SDO, right? So you have that there for people that wants to like do a sidecar, like protect their applications, right? So you have it so people can actually write their application. On top of SDO, so you get that sidecar effect. So you can do fault tolerance, sidecar like injections, like securities, and a little bit monitoring on top of it, right? So you get all of that. If you have your application, you can run your camel application with SDO as a sidecar running against it. So okay, so the view of this is all coming from a camel developer, right? Nothing else. But yeah, so for the camel developer, you can actually like see this, right? So you can actually deploy your application on top of SDO. But what happens now is you get this serverless capability. So you will be able to scale down to 0 if you want to, right? So that's where the Knative stuff comes in, right? So that's the Knative content, where if you want to install Knative, there's an option. You can either install that on top of SDO because it's using the Angular server, but you don't have to have it, because I believe the current version that we have right now in Camel in OpenShift serverless is using the other stuff that's a lot faster. It's Courier. I don't know how to pronounce it. Courier server, where it's a lot faster proxy, so you can go through things a lot faster. But so you don't have to have SDO, but sometimes you do, right? Depending on your implementations and if you're using Red Hat versions or different versions of Knative. But that's how it works. So as a developer, like as a Camel developer, you can actually write your application on top of Knative, right? So that's how you can run it. So if you run that on top of Knative, right, you actually get all the benefits of but it's pure Knative, right? Just you get all the benefits of scaling down to 0. So and then we got Camel K. So what is Camel K? So this is like the last part of my thing, right? So you get like where's my stuff? Anyway, I can't find it right now. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Right, so with Camel K, you can actually install that on top of just OpenShift, or you can run that with Knative, right? So it runs on top of either both just OpenShift, or you can run on top of Knative, right? So for users, that's for Camel developers, if they're running Camel K on top of Knative, then your application or your Camel application gets that automatic, scale down to 0 stuff. But then if you are a normal Camel K developer which don't have Knative enabled, or you don't want to have it, you can actually like have it running like on top of OpenShift, but that's a perfect Camel K application, right? So it's like similar to that. And so that's my explanation to like everybody on how everything works. So like while I'm talking to you right now, I'm thinking like, how do I fit Quarkus in here, right? Because like maybe Quarkus is just like, it's one little thing within my little puzzle, right? It's like, because you can choose between two different things. I mean, I'll think about how I represent it here, but that's like my basic idea and how I would explain all this technology like to everybody. And then I forgot, like, yeah, they mentioned Kafka. Where should I put Kafka in here? But it's really hard to like put Kafka in here because it doesn't really like in my concept, it doesn't really exist here, because Kafka is another piece of media, right? You can use that like for storing your messages, or like pushing your streaming data into that. It doesn't really fit into this picture, but I'm gonna try and see if I can make it 3D, or that's like a basic concept of how I would develop this blog or things I want to talk about. I don't know, like just let me know your thoughts on this. Like, so yeah, so that's basically what I want to talk about today. Like, let me know like what you think about this, and then yeah, and then look forward to this video blog. It might come out in 2 or 3 weeks, depending on how busy I am with like the actual work that I have to do. But yeah, anyway, so that's it. Let me stop sharing the screen and go back to that. Yeah, so any questions or, things you want to ask at the very last minute? Hopefully not. Okay, cool. So that concludes all today's streaming sessions. And I hope you enjoy it. And maybe I'll do another one next week. And yeah, thanks for joining. Really looking forward to see you guys again. Bye.